evening, favorite Facebook friends. I am your host, Angel Amoroso, and I am joined this evening by my co-host,
Christina J. Paulus.
And this evening we are joined by our special favorite Facebook friend of the week, Carolina Jim. Jim, would you like to say hello to us? Hello. So we start the interview out by just really getting to know who you are and what you do. I've known you for a very long time. We know each other through professional wrestling, and Jim's been involved in all sorts of activities in wrestling, including from refereeing and videotape companies and ring announcing. But you know what? I'll let you get to that. So first off, though, let's get started with finding out a little bit about Jim. So where are you from? Where did you go to school? Lay it out for us. Thank you. Lay it out for us, Jim.
Yeah, I'm originally from Roslyn, Pennsylvania, which is a suburb of Philadelphia. I went to Abington High School. Abington High School was where the late Bob Saget went to school. Michael Buffer, the ring announcer, went to school there. So I grew up in the Philly suburbs most of my life, and then I moved up to the Lehigh Valley when I met my ex-wife, and I guess I've been up in the Lehigh Valley about 15 years now. So, but yeah, I started out in the suburbs of Philadelphia, right outside of, about 5 miles outside of Philadelphia.
So at what age did you become a wrestling fan?
I was I guess I was 12. It was 1983. Cable was just starting out. We didn't have cable where I was at the time. So every weekend, my mom and myself would go down to my cousin's house, and they had cable. They were down in South Jersey. They had cable, and they had TBS. And one week, my uncle was, I guess, just channel surfing, and he came across Georgia Championship Wrestling. So the next time I went down, the next week, he told me, you got to watch this. And this was like when the Road Warriors and Brad Armstrong, Tommy Rich.
So we're talking about the Jim Crockett Promotions, NWA, Georgia TV.
Okay. So I just got hooked then. Like I said, I went to my first live show in 1984 at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. But 1983 was when I first got hooked.
Were you involved in any sports in, like grade school or high school, any kind of sports?
I was always in sports. I played baseball. But like for recreation, I played tennis and, football, hockey, street hockey, all that. But I did play organized baseball for, I guess, about 10 years. And, but I've always been into sports.
Yeah, I know you have a great love for football, and your favorite team?
Yeah, the Carolina Panthers.
Carolina, keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
I always look forward to that comment from you. It's been years, and it's like I was telling Christina, and you also used to attend my TCW shows. I remember you there at every one of them, and also the ECW shows that we worked. You were always there, same seat, and pretty much same gear, and which gave you, I guess, been in Carolina Jim. Keep pounding. Yeah. So after high school, grade school, so then you developed a love for wrestling, and who was your favorite wrestler? Like your first favorite wrestler that you looked at and you said, you know what, this is making me interested in wanting to get involved and wanting to watch.
Yeah, Ricky Steamboat and the Road Warriors, always my favorite wrestlers. Brad Armstrong, I was a big fan of. When I mentioned about watching Georgia Championship Wrestle, and that's when Brad Armstrong now, and I became a big fan of his, and Eddie Gilbert, of course, with the ECW and stuff. But Ricky Steamboat and the Road Warriors were always my favorites. Tommy Dreamer.
A fan of the whole Armstrong family, or just Brad?
Yeah. I got to work show with Road Dogg, and got to meet Brad Armstrong a couple times, and Bob Armstrong. But yeah, I was always a fan of the whole Armstrong family.
Great guys. So then,
Yeah.
now moving on into later wrestling, you attended Spectrum Wrestling and opposed to Civic Center, or both? Did you go to Civic
I went to a
Center?
couple of Civic Center shows. I guess I started going to uh, I guess 1990 is when I actually got my driver's license. So that's when I started going to indie shows like Dennis Corluzzo shows, Larry Sharp, Gino Caruso, and so that's when I kind of started, getting to go to a lot of live shows. Up until that point, I'd gone to a couple Spectrum shows, a couple Civic Center shows, but I really didn't go to many live shows. I just would watch it on TV and stuff.
Now, in your opinion, back then, as a wrestling fan, which would you favor when you actually tuned in? Would you favor WWF? Would you favor NWA? Would you favor UWF? Maybe like what was your poison at the time?
I was always into the NWA, the Four Horsemen, and I would watch all of it. Like being up in Philly, we had the WWF, we had the NWA, and but I would watch both, but I was always into the NWA, the Mid Atlantic stuff. It was more realistic, I guess.
Now, who would you say in the
character.
time of the run, since NWA was your favorite? I got to ask you, because I'm not I'm more of an NWA person than WWF as well. So in the run of champions in the NWA, who would you say was your favorite champion? In Jim Crockett's NWA, not Jim Hurt.
I guess when Ricky Steamboat had the title.
Okay, so yeah, you're a Steamboat guy. Great
I liked
stuff.
it when Ronnie Garvin won it. It was it was a different type of wrestler. I always liked Flair, but Flair to me was always like he never really changed. He always did a lot of the same stuff. Like Terry Funk is somebody who would always seem to change, even as he got older. He would try different stuff. Flair was always seemed like the same. He would always do the same shtick, I guess.
Exactly. So then, while you're a fan and you're sitting there watching, what clicks in your mind that says, maybe I want a position in wrestling, maybe I want to do something? Like, what was your first interest in wrestling, like as a position
back during the original ECW days, my one buddy Gary, he was good friends with Ed Zahn, became the promoter of ECW. So him and me would help out behind the scenes with setting up like Flagstaff and some of the spot shows. We would go and set up the locker room, set up chairs and stuff, and just getting to see like some of the inner workings and what went on behind the scenes kind of got me interested into wanting to get more involved. My one buddy, Mike Burns, started Mark Videos, so we got to start taping shows. So I got to start commentating and just getting to see a lot more of the inner workings of how the wrestling business worked. Got me wanting to do more and more with with the wrestling.
So then you started with Ed Zahn, setting up the ring and just getting a feel of the business, and then doing commentary for different people. And then what did you also get into refereeing as well, right?
I never really did the refereeing. I did mostly like I said, the commentating and taping.
I'm
shows,
sorry, the ring announcing. I'm like. I'm crazy. Ring announcing. I keep saying referee.
She meant because she said that.
Yes.
I enjoyed the commentating a lot, but the ring announcing I never really thought about. And then with the Smart Mark Video, the same guys that did Smart Mark Video started a wrestling promotion, FWA, Future Wrestling Alliance, and they weren't happy with the ring announcer, the job he was doing, so they asked me if I wanted to give it a try. So I said, yeah, I would try it out, and I was
What year was
hooked
this, Jim?
once I
What year
did it the first time. But back then, there was no the internet was in its infancy and stuff, so everything was like warehouse. So I started ring announcing with the FWA, and then we also had taped. We were taping Bad Crew, who had worked ECW. They had a promotion in the Lehigh Valley, Allentown, Pennsylvania area. So I started ring announcing for them, and I started working with Chikara, Mike Quackenbush, and it just kind of from there. I was still doing some commentating, but I got to the point where I enjoyed the ring announcing than the commentate.
So I know, like, you did several interviews with people while with Smart Mark Video, if I'm not mistaken.
We did we did shoot interviews. You talking like shoot interviews or?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did shoot interviews with Chris Candido, Pat Tanaka, Dennis Corluzzo.
I personally actually have the
Barry
clip
Martel.
of interviewing Dennis Carluzzo and asking him a question about me. I went ahead and put it on my YouTube there.
Dennis is a trip. He's always, and you've dealt with Dennis. You've seen the good Dennis. You saw the bad Dennis. Everybody knows the good stories, the bad stories. I mean, Dennis, and I saw a lot of it, but Dennis was always good with me. I mentioned earlier, like around the early 90s, I started going to independent shows, and I would go to a lot of Dennis's shows. And at the time, I would like send in the results to Dave Meltzer and
as we all did.
I was just a fan going to the shows, but then, he knew I would send the results in, and it got to the point where I would show up at Dennis's shows, and I would get like a general admission ticket, but he would tell like whoever, one of the lackeys or whatever, to put a chair ringside. So, I mean, I would always sit ringside for his shows, even though I paid general. And then if the house was good, there was times Dennis would just tell me, just go on in, don't even pay. And he would let me go in early, which, I mean, I was kind of smart to the business, but I never really had seen a lot of the, behind the scenes. So, I would go into the building ahead of time, and you would see like the faces talking with the heels, and it was just at first it was weird, just seeing, like knowing this wrestling this guy, but they're like, talking about their what the match is going to be like, and this and that, and but I mean, that's how I got to meet a lot of people, Ace Darling, Crowbar, Lumini, a lot of those guys, because I would go to all the shows. Because back then, like a lot of the promotions would use a lot of the same guys, whether it be Dennis, Gino, Bay Ragney. They would all use the same guys. Nowadays, there's so many independent wrestlers that it's not like it used to be, where there was just like a set crew of indie guys that would just work the same shows.
Yeah, there's like hundreds now, opposed to the small little crew that used to be back in the 90s. It's some wild stuff. Out of the independents that you were, traveling to back in the 90s, which independent promotion would you say you favored more towards the others, like as far as their product presentation?
I always enjoyed going to Larry Sharp's shows at Cement and Clementon Fair, at the Clementon, I guess the Clementon Mall. It was just like a different atmosphere. And back then he had like the headband when there were the Spiders, and Chris Candido was starting out, and Ray Evans, and he would bring in like Abdul the Butcher, and Balls Mahoney was just starting out back then. So I always enjoyed going to his shows. Dennis always brought in a bunch of names, so I mean, it was always cool going to his shows, especially the Woodbury shows. That was
Yeah.
like, I guess, his main kind of arena until Sabu kind of screwed that up. But yeah, that was those shows where he would bring like Chris Benoit in and Jerry Lawler. Like when Lawler was going through his stuff when he was his personal stuff. I mean, nobody was using Lawler, but Dennis kept bringing them in. So
Yeah, monthly.
back then, there was a lot of good indies in the Philadelphia area, in the South Jersey area back then.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that Philly was the hub for all wrestling. This was the place to be as far as
Yep.
any wrestling went, independent and otherwise. So people like us that are local, we were here for everything. And experienced everything with every independent promotion in and out, big or small. We got to meet them all and attend everything. So I'm looking through your Facebook. I don't know if I could actually share it right now because it's all screwy. But some of the promoters that you've recently gotten to work for, tell us a little bit about that. You've been doing a lot of ring announcing and stuff like that. Who have you been working for lately?
Yeah, right now, regularly Dino Sana, who's I guess in his 42nd year running shows. I've been ring announcing for him the last few years.
Always a favorite.
Out in York, Pennsylvania. I do a lot of their shows. Ray Torres runs Reading, Pennsylvania. I do a lot of their shows. I mean, I don't travel as far as I used to. I kind of try to stay local more, but I mean, I'm staying busy. I usually have 3 or 4 shows a month, so I'm happy with that.
So I'm going to ask you a question. In the past, now compare like a show you've been to in the past to one that you've been to currently, and tell me the wildest show you think you've attended in the past, and compare it to the wildest show you've attended recently. I know it's a hard question, but I'll give you time to.
Yeah, I mean, I've been ring announcing, I guess, this is my 22nd year, and I mean, just the way with society changing, I guess, the wrestling business has changed, so things were a lot more wilder, I guess, back in the day than it is now. Things are a lot more tamer now. You got to watch, what you say, what you do now, a lot more than when you did back in the day. I don't know if any offhand. I can't think of any like wild, crazy shows that I've done recently, but
right. Currently, there probably isn't anything comparable to anything that happened even a decade ago.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, most definitely. It's a lot different now than it was, like you said, even like 10 years ago. It's just a whole different atmosphere. The locker rooms are a lot different, and the wrestlers are a lot different in the way they handle themselves. It is a lot different than it used to be.
So then that brings me to a question. What do you think about the state of professional wrestling right now? And I mean as a whole, as far as independents go, number one, and that would be a separate subject than the state of wrestling as in the bigger, larger companies and what they're dealing with right now. What do you think about all that going?
I mean, the business always goes up, has its ebbs and flows. It always goes up, seems like it goes up and goes down. I liked it before, back in the day. It was more, today, I think they try to make it more based on, because of like reality TV, they try to make it more reality based, which I mean I used to love back in the day. We'd have like the USA against the Russians, and you'd have all the crazy interviews, and it was just I mean everybody knew it was a soap. It's like a soap opera, so you know with the wrestling you're kind of just like when you watch a soap opera movie, you just you know you just get into that moment. Now it seems like they're afraid. Everybody's afraid that it's too. People are going to think it's too fake. So everything they try to do, like with the interviews and stuff, I don't know, it just seems like it's too like reality based. I don't know how if I'm explaining it right, but it's just
scripted reality.
Like you know, the Ultimate War. You had this weird stuff with the Ultimate Warrior and Papa Shango, and I mean now it's I don't know. It's different now than it was.
Like
you know,
suspending your disbelief. Like that's what you were meant to do when you were watching something. Suspend your disbelief.
And now
You know, that's the excitement. That's the excitement.
And
but now you can't.
Now you're having your
you have no
intelligence
option.
Exactly
Right.
But
Yeah.
okay,
and
so
and now it's a lot. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. I was just clearing my throat.
No, I'm just gonna say, like what your daughter said. It's you know, you suspended your belief. Now it's I don't know. They don't. I guess they seem like they're afraid that it's you know if it's not too reality based that people aren't going to get into it or I don't know. I know people have a short attention span now, so it's
a condition.
You can't do the longer pitches like you used to be able to do.
Yeah.
It's the immediate gratification people need, like you know,
you need it.
a whole bunch of entertainment back to back to back.
Yep.
And if you don't have it, you don't know. You know.
No,
Am I doing this right? Am I thinking right?
Who knows?
Exactly.
So, top 5 questions. Number 1, who's your favorite male wrestler of all time?
Ricky Steamboat.
Okay.
Definitely.
Number 2?
I think he's the greatest.
I thought I already knew that one. So, number 2, favorite female wrestler.
Favorite female wrestler. Besides Angel Amoroso, I guess.
Oh, good answer. I'll take that one. I'll take it. You can cut it off right there.
That's all right. All right, end of interview. That's good.
So, no, seriously, I will take that one.
Yeah.
I'll take that as an answer if you want to end it there. But seriously. Seriously.
We'll say Angel Amoroso, though.
Okay, good.
Or
I will.
Titanium, whatever other gimmick.
Yay, I will accept that. Number 3, your favorite tag team of all time.
The Road Warriors. I also like the Tennessee Vols. I know they weren't really a national team, but the Road Warriors, they changed wrestling. Some will say not necessarily for the good because of all with the bodybuilding guys, but you know, I always liked the Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, but the Road Warriors are the greatest.
Okay, and your favorite WWF pay-per-view?
Favorite WWF pay-per-view? Like a specific one, or just like
you know what? Let's just say WWF or NWA. Let's combine them together and make it even harder. Like what? Just you know, any Starcade, War Games, WrestleMania. There's so many to choose from. So, Great American Bad.
Hey, when the WWF used to do the old Survivor Series, I always enjoyed that when they would build up every week with the teams and stuff, with the 4-on-4, 5-on-5. The Royal, I think is a really good concept. With the NWA, the War Games, I thought was always really good. So those would be my favorites.
And number 5, your favorite match of all time.
Favorite match of all time?
Mhm.
Probably Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat with WrestleMania.
All right.
I thought that was back then. That was like, especially for the WWF, it was so different compared to what their matches, normally were. But I would go with that.
Awesome. Awesome. So I see on your Facebook here, which unfortunately I can't share, but I see that you have several shows coming up. So would you like to just tell us about some of the shows you have coming up and who they're for?
Yeah. In July, I know July 16th, SWO in out in York, Pennsylvania. July 23rd, Dino Sana, the Triple WA in Quakertown, which we're fourth Saturday of every month. We're at the Q Mart in Quakertown. We're going to be out in Rennickers in Schuylkill Haven, Pennsylvania, July 30th for Triple WA. I know in August, SWO will be back in York, August 6th, I believe it is. September, RCW comes back to Reading, first Saturday in September. So there's a lot of stuff coming up.
You have a normal, let me see, the Sanctuary.
It's a shame we can't get this.
Yeah, I'm
John
trying to look at
John Trotsky up in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, with the Sanctuary. It's an old church that he turned into where he does wrestling shows or stunt fighting. It's an awesome venue.
That's like every month, right?
Like I said, it's an old church, but it's a great venue to go watch wrestling or stunt fighting is what he calls it, but it's still wrestling.
Right. Wrestling is wrestling. So yeah, I've been up there a few times.
Exactly.
My husband used to work there years and years ago. So nice place to work, good environment. It's a great the church is just like just great building for the wrestling. So good luck to you there. And so if anyone wants to hire you as a color commentator or a ring announcer, where can we find you at, Jim? Give us all your social media.
I don't do the Twitter or any of that stuff. So basically, Facebook, James Titus, Titus. They don't let me use the Carolina Jane. That kind of got a couple of years ago. I guess Facebook, decided they didn't want all the wrestlers using their gimmick names, so they had, they kind of.
Let me see your license. I want to see Carolina James on.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Seriously, they put you under pressure.
Exactly. I remember when they did that, and I'm looking to go through my Facebook feed. I'm like, who the hell are these people? Like, I always knew them by their gimmick names. I'm like, who the hell these people are now? But yeah, James Titus on Carolina Jim at ymail.com. You can email me.
Okay, so they are the outlets you can get in touch with if you want to use Carolina Jim for any color commentary or ring announcing. He is available here in the Pennsylvania area and anywhere you would want to bring him in the world to announce your professional on your event. So thank you so much for joining us, Jim. You were a very good guest and our favorite Facebook friend of the week.
Thank you so
much. I hope
much.
you've enjoyed being here with us on this
It's
Monday.
Always a pleasure speaking to you, Angel.
Well, thanks so much, Jim. And thanks for joining us. Hopefully, you'll join us back next week for our next episode of Favorite Facebook Friends. I don't know if we're doing July 4th, but we'll do a commercial and you'll see who our guests are coming up. And until then, for my co-host, Christina Jade Polis, and our favorite Facebook friend of the week, Carolina Jim, have a nice night and a nice life. Bye-bye.
Keep pounding.